just briefly cover a couple of other stories. This is kind of breaking news, yet almost inevitably another 138 migrants crossed the channel illegally yesterday. These are the latest figures. So that officially brings it since Saturday. So what is that? 5 days, in just 5 days. Because we've only got the figures until yesterday. That brings the 5-day figure to an incredible 2,037. So 138 yesterday, 531 the day before. So we're now at 2,037 since Saturday. I'll just leave that hanging in the air because we do have to cover other stories. But just another thing that this government is making a total shambles of. Absolutely disgraceful, lack of anything. Don't tell me Shabana Mahmood is going to solve the crisis. She's nowhere near, even remotely, starting to solve the crisis. Leave the ECHR or forget it. Just quickly, Isabel, because we should stick with the big story of the night, but I do think this is a big story as well. Michelle Mann, Baroness Bra, is connected to her husband's company, MedPro. In the height of the COVID panic, our then future I'm a celebrity contestant, but then the Health Secretary Matt Hancock and Boris Johnson approved giving this pair £122 million for a load of really dodgy medical PPE gowns from China. They weren't sterile, they didn't work, but these two managed to pocket the money. The High Court yesterday told them they've got to repay that. Doug Barrowman, her husband, says this is a whitewash. Baroness Mann has yet to say anything about it. But the question is, first of all, I mean, I think she has to leave the House of Lords. That's it. She cannot, even Rachel Reeves, I don't often agree with her, but she said today, I don't see how this woman can continue to help legislate for this country in the House of Lords. I think that's right. She has to go. But the question I want to ask you is, what the hell was going on that our government, taxpayers' money, just handed 122 million quid to this pair without checking the PPE or anything? We paid for it, then it turned up, it was completely useless. What was going on then?
Well, I'll tell you exactly what was going on. I, of all people, know because I saw all the messages that were flying between the Health Secretary and these various characters. And I actually remember seeing detailed messages from Michelle Mann. That's all been covered in the media, you know, very, very pushy messages about this stuff. And what was going on is that a very small number of politicians, of which Matt Hancock, the then Health Secretary, was one, were not only in a sort of blind panic, but they were also on a gigantic kind of vanity trip. You know, they wanted to show that they were, you know, amassing the greatest amount of kit and, you know, being the busiest and being the most protective of the nation and saving as many lives as possible. And all judgment went out of the window, didn't it?
Yeah.
And what was grotesque is that there were so many people in our country whose instinct under those circumstances was to exploit that. Their instinct in the outbreak of a pandemic was, wow, there's a good business opportunity here, isn't there?
Yeah.
I have to say, you know, I'm sure up and down the country, so I'm sure many of our listeners feel like this. You know, we read about the people that somehow made, you know, even several million, not even tens of millions or 100 million or whatever, several million, by at that time thinking, oh, maybe I should import some PPE, and thought to ourselves, oh, I should have thought of that. But no, I'm really glad that I didn't think of that, because it genuinely did not occur to me, and nor did it occur to 99 point whatever percent of the population to try to make money out of the horrors of the beginning of the pandemic and the panic that ensued. It is grotesque. It is totally immoral. And people like Michelle Mann and her partner, of all people, did not need to do that. They don't need any more money. They should be volunteering to give it back, and they should have done so a long time ago.
Totally right, but they're going to have to now. Yeah, disgusting behaviour by them, and ridiculous behaviour by our panicking government, wasting taxpayers' money like that. You're just the person to talk to about that, weren't you, because of your WhatsApp exclusive. Listen, Isabel, great to talk to you. Thank you so much for your time tonight. Listen, we're going to go straight back to Manchester, where our man Alex Farrell, done a great job today reporting from the Synagogue, is with Lord John Mann, who is the government's anti-Semitism advisor. Welcome, both of you. Welcome back. Hello, John. Thank you for joining us. I can see it's raining and difficult.
Evening.
It's raining and difficult there. What are your feelings about the government and what the Jewish community are saying today, that, for example, the recognition of Palestine has only fostered this ongoing kind of explosion of anti-Semitism that possibly led to today's atrocity? What's your feeling about that?
No, what the community is in shock, in trauma. I mean, nobody's been murdered in our country for being Jewish for very many decades, and unlike other countries where there have been murders, people have seen it, they've experienced it, they've been through other terror attacks, not least in Manchester, but to have it direct in your own community, you know, two Jewish people going about their normal lives as British citizens, going to their synagogue on the holiest day for Yom Kippur, getting murdered simply and solely because they're Jewish. The whole country needs to take a deep breath about the consequences and what that means. You know, this is a national moment for us, and not just government needs to step up, the country needs to step up in standing in solidarity with the Jewish community, and that means people who know Jewish people, neighbours or in their workplace, going and telling them, you know, we're with you in this, we're not prepared to have this in our country, and you know, while it's going on, this afternoon, after people have been murdered, we have people been abused at a synagogue in the south of England by extremists yelling at them out of a van as they're passing. Now, that's not the same level, of course, but the same principle of people abusing Jewish people simply for being Jewish. And the country needs to get a grip of this and stand by its Jewish community.
Couldn't agree with you more, John, but they do say, and it's been said a lot today, that if you reward terrorism, it promotes more terrorism. The Prime Minister stands accused of recognising Palestine and in so doing rewarding Hamas's atrocity on October the 7th. And many Jewish people today are saying that has led, the pro-Palestine policies of this government have led to today's violence. What are your thoughts on that?
No, we've had anti-Semitic violence across Europe for the last 10 years. We've had people murdered repeatedly in France over the last 10 years. We've had people murdered in the United States three times in the last 18 months. So no, there's all sorts of factors in it, but anti-Semitism's become deep-rooted in our society, and there are people on the extremes who feel it's appropriate to abuse Jewish people, and some people who feel that they can go and kill Jewish people. And so what we've seen in the United States, 3 times Jewish people being murdered for being Jewish, we've now seen coming to this country. There's, you know, people want to conflate and attack Jewish people and hold them responsible for what's happening in the Middle East. Conflating the two issues is wrong. It's a red herring. This is about evil. This is about people who believe that Jewish people are evil. That's what it is. Actually, it's them that are evil. In their distorted minds, in the caricatures they have of Jewish people, the lies they tell about them, and the way they spew out that vengeance against them. This is what leads to the violence we've seen today, and our failure to deal with that kind of thing, wherever it is, how people say it, how they write it, how they put it on the internet, that's at the core of what we need to get our act together to deal with, because we've had enough of it. Murders of Jewish people in France, murders of Jewish people in America, murders of Jewish people in Denmark, in the Netherlands, and now in this country. Enough is enough. Let's fight back against this.
I agree with that. Now, since October the 7th, 2 years ago, anti-Semitic incidents in this country are up by 140%. Sorry to labour this point, but I want to ask you, John, was the Prime Minister right to recognise Palestine?
That's an irrelevant question.
Well, was
it's
he right? Can I ask you, was he right? It isn't an irrelevant question. I'm sorry, John.
Absolutely.
I'm sorry,
you're
John.
Out of order. You're out of order. In the
I am not out of order. It is a perfectly reasonable question. Was he right to recognise Palestine?
It's an irrelevant question.
Do you think it's irrelevant, John? Are you joking? Are you joking? It is not an irrelevant question.
It's an irrelevant question. What's relevant is the security good enough? Is the support for the community good enough? Is the strategies for tackling extremism and hatred good enough? They're the relevant questions.
So you won't say whether or not you think the Prime Minister was right to recognise Palestine. You won't tell us that. You won't tell us whether or not...
I'll tell you that. I'll tell you in another interview. I'm quite happy to discuss the
Middle
East.
Why don't you tell us in this interview?
But I am not conflating. I am not
it's
conflating.
Not conflating.
Those who conflate.
It's a perfectly reasonable
because you start
question.
Then blaming, or others blame Jewish people. For
and what do you think Jewish people are saying today? That it was brilliant that he recognises Palestine.
In this country.
Sorry, John, you're a very good man. I remember when you clashed with Jeremy Corbyn, but I think you should answer this question.
I tell you what,
was the Prime Minister right to recognise Palestine?
I tell you what, mate, you're part of the problem.
Oh, really? Really, am I?
You're part of the problem with questions like that. Yes, you are.
You think that's an
you
unreasonable
with
question?
The problems of anti-Semitism.
Sorry, John.
People murdered today,
it's not an unreasonable
and you want to go
question.
in, and there's plenty of others do as well, on all sides of the argument, want to talk about other issues. The issue is Jewish people being murdered today for being Jewish, and the fact that's happened in our country. And thank goodness the police have been so good today, because it could have been far worse. Thank goodness that the Jewish volunteers were there, and that what they did was incredible today, including the work they did with people with serious injuries. They're the heroes of today, and get them on your programme and let them talk.
We will, John. Let's part, friends, and let's agree on that. It's been a horrific day. Thank you very much, Lord John Mann there, the government's anti-Semitism czar. I mean, let me know, was that a reasonable question? Was that a reasonable question I was asking? Was the Prime Minister right to recognise Palestine? Jewish people all over the country right now believe that that move by our government has led to today's violence. It emboldened anti-Semitism. So I'm sorry to upset Lord John Mann, who I think is a very decent man. But I think it's not an unreasonable question. Let me know what you think. Was I wrong to ask that question?